It's the Sittin Sportside podcast, exclusively on 1045theteam.com.
And welcome into the Sittin Sportside podcast, AFC South Preview, here on 1045theteam.com. And my man, Cody Marshall, joining me as always. Cody, how's it going? Let's hop right into this.
Let's do it. AFC South.
Yeah,
team that's going to be at the bottom, the Jacksonville Jaguars. You know what? They didn't know who their quarterback was going to be for a while, and then somehow Blake Bortles still ends up winning that job. You're drafting a running back in Leonard Fournette. If he can stay healthy, then great. That's a bonus for you. Pretty decent wide receiving crew when you consider Allen Hurns and Allen Robinson. But other than that, I think this team leaves a lot to be desired, and I just don't see them taking that next step. I like the move they made by bringing in Tom Coughlin to help out in the front office, but they're your fourth place team. I hate to break it to you.
It's tough for me, man, because I look at this roster from top to bottom, and I see a lot of good players on this team. Starting with the running back that they just drafted in Leonard Fournette. Could be a heck of a NFL running back. You mentioned the two receivers. I also like Marquise Lee and the rookie D.D. Westbrook from Oklahoma. Offensive line, I love that they brought in Cam Robinson, and guess what? Like you said, Tom Coughlin, he loves bringing in and having a good offensive line for that quarterback. Defensively, they have Calais Campbell, Barry Church, cornerbacks could be two of the most underrated quarterbacks in the league, and Jalen Ramsey and AJ Bouye, who came over from Houston. So, man, I do like a lot about this team. Dante Fowler Jr., remember him? Who hurt himself a couple of years ago after he was drafted. So there's a lot to like on this Jacksonville team, and I know this was a popular pick last year to do a lot better. And I want to pick them again this year. I just have a personal interest in the Indianapolis Colts. I tend to root for them a lot. I mentioned in a previous podcast, I'm a big Peyton Manning fan, so I became a big Colts fan. So it's hard for me to pick a team over the Colts. Not saying I'm picking the Colts to win this division by any means, but I'm just like, So my ultimate decision here is to pick the Indianapolis Colts. As much as it pains me to actually be in fourth place, I'm picking the Jaguars for third.
Really? See, I have the Colts third because I give him a lot of credit. Andrew Luck's going to come back at some point, and he's still a great quarterback.
Really, really
good.
But
his best receiver is Dante Moncrief right now? He's the wide receiver one on the Colts?
T-Y.
That's right. T.Y. But I feel like he had a down year last year, and if he doesn't recover for that, this team's in a lot of trouble. I love Frank Gore, true 49er running back right there.
Yes,
goes
sir.
over, and he's still producing with Indianapolis, which is good to see.
And they just picked up Matt Jones from the Washington Redskins as well, which is an interesting, I think, good pickup for them. I just think...
But how long are you going to go with Scott Tolzien as your
That's the thing, man.
University of Wisconsin.
Always got to get that in. That's my big reason why. I think that there's a lot of question marks of when Luck's going to be back and 100% healthy. And as long as Brissett or Tolzien is your quarterback, no matter who it is, even if it is, they end up going with Jacoby Brissett at some point this season. I just can't trust this Colts team enough. Talent-wise, it's kind of gone down over the years because of the contract they gave to Andrew Luck, unfortunately. And like I said, I hope I'm wrong on this, but I do think that when it's all said and done, the Colts aren't going to have enough of Andrew Luck this year to beat out.
Get that.
And I like I like a lot about the Jaguars, man. And to put them in third place doesn't really show too much confidence in them, but it's enough to say, hey, I like this young Jaguars team. I think that, I know there's a lot of talk about how bad Blake Bortles was in the preseason, and Chad Henne's even got some play. But honestly, I think that while I'll be water under the bridge when we're talking in November, and people will be like, we were panicking about Blake Bortles because this team, the Jaguars, I think will surprise some people. And like I said, a lot of question marks about the Indianapolis Colts. And unfortunately, I like Chuck Pagano a lot, but unfortunately, if my prediction rings true and they come in last place, he will not be head coach for this team in 2018.
Which is unfortunate considering what he's done for that organization after the whole firing of Jim Caldwell and everything.
As well, but Jim Caldwell also got unfairly fired too. So I mean, this isn't a great organization in terms of that. They're kind of making up for it by giving Pagano this one more year. Top two, here we are. This part of the podcast where we're going to pick the top two teams in the division. It comes down to the Houston Texans and the Tennessee Titans. Both you and I have consistently agreed about the bottom two teams, but we've differed in some of the divisions on the top two teams. Who do you have winning the AFC South?
I'm going to go with the Houston Texans. I'm going to give you a couple reasons why. Number one, J.J. Watt is back. J.J. Watt gives you that intangible, that rare, multifaceted game from a guy who plays a defensive end. You probably bring him in. We'll probably see him play tight end a couple times on offense as well. He's so versatile at what he does. Your quarterback position, though, is a little skeptical. That's your weakest point right now, and you got to find a way to get him to develop, whether it be
Tom Savage?
Right, Tom Savage, and
or
then
Deshaun
his backup is Deshaun Watson. I think it's going to be Deshaun Watson going forward at some point. I loved what he did at Clemson, and I think he's your quarterback of the future. You've got good wide receivers. You just gave Hopkins the long deal. And I think he's going to produce for you. Jadeveon Clowney should be a force at some point on the defensive end of the ball, and he's going to complement J.J. Watt.
Really good postseason last year for him.
Biggest thing for Houston. Let's flash back a couple years ago. Natural disaster with Katrina hits New Orleans. What did the Saints do? The Saints gave their city hope. They gave them something to forget about Katrina about, ended up going to the Super Bowl and beating the Indianapolis Colts.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if
that wasn't directly after, but eventually they did.
Right. And I think Houston's going to provide something like that. Not necessarily, I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl, but I think they're going to have a successful season. Bill O'Brien is still your head coach. Was an assistant under Bill Belichick. Arguably, I think he is the best NFL coach in my lifetime. I mean, Don Shula, he's great, and I don't think anybody can really touch Don Shula. But
how did we get back to Bill Belichick on this? Come on,
because
man. I understand the connections
he's a mentor
there,
to
man.
Bill O'Brien, man.
We're not going through all the coaches and being like, oh, Bill Parcells, got to give him credit. I mean, come on. Because if we're going to we're going to go all the way back. Well, Bill Belichick served under Bill Parcells,
anyways,
so Bill Parcells should get a lot of the credit.
The Tennessee Titans, I got him finished in second. Love Marcus Mariota. Derrick Henry, I think, has the potential to be a good running back and show a lot of improvement over his rookie season. Then you bring in Eric Decker as a wide receiver who can be a deep threat. He just needs to perform the way that he did in Denver, not in New York. I thought he kind of slacked off and just stopped putting in the effort that was needed.
Injured 1 year. So if you take that one out of it, he had 50%. He was good. He was very consistent in the year that the Jets went 10-6.
And then,
so he's been consistent in New York. I know you want to go, oh man, you want to just disregard everything about New York Jets football, but I mean, he had a decent run with the New York Jets in that 1 year. Okay.
Whatever you say, man.
All right. He was very consistent in that year, and I think that he'll do that again. Do you have anything else to say before I go on mine?
Well, and then I think Delaney Walker at tight end. I think he's one of the more underrated tight ends in the NFL, and I think he can.
Well, I mean, he was very bad. He was on. He was very bad on the team he was on before, but...
Wow.
No,
wow.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you took a shot at the Jets, so I had to say the same thing about your team. Anyway, that's the 49ers in case you were wondering. I'm picking the Tennessee Titans to win this division. I think that they're coming off a season where they could have made the playoffs last year down the stretch, but because Marcus Mariota got injured, their hopes went out the window. So I like now with maybe 16 full games from Marcus Mariota. And the running back duo of DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry. I love what Henry didn't get enough opportunities last year. And if Murray continues, to nurse an injury at some point this year, Henry's going to break out and possibly be the best second-year running back. I don't know if that's a big feat, but well, Ezekiel Elliott. He could be a really good second-year running back at the very least. But I think he'll be a big-time NFL player for sure. I love Eric Decker, man. And you heard me defend him there too. And I think that with Decker now getting some other attention, Rashard Matthews could have an even better year because he had a really good year last year, kind of under the radar in a sense. I like the offensive line enough. The defense in Jarrell Casey kind of highlights that defensive line. He's very good. Maybe the guy you might not know about as well, and kind of Brian Arakpo and the linebackers. I think that's a guy that kind of lost in the mold after he left Washington. He's a really good key part of the Tennessee Titans, so I like them enough to win this division. And I think Houston Texans, the quarterback play of Tom Savage, even if Deshaun Watson does come into the folds, like you said, I don't have enough confidence in them. I know DeAndre Hopkins, who just got that huge contract, is really good, but we've seen when he doesn't have a quarterback, he doesn't necessarily perform sometimes. And so that defense is really good. I know people are salivating because how good that defense was in the playoffs last year and at some points without J.J. Watt. And you get J.J. Watt, they're going to be that much better. But is that 100% true? I really don't necessarily see it that way. And even though Jonathan Joseph and Kareem Jackson are still great corners, they lost AJ Bouye, who had a huge part of their team last year as a cornerback. I mentioned he went to Jacksonville, so I think that they have some places they need to improve upon. And I'm not necessarily sure I'm sold as everybody else is on the Houston Texans to possibly make it back to the playoffs. That's why I had the Tennessee Titans winning the division and nobody else making the playoffs from the wild card perspective. I think I might actually have to change. I did not mention a wild card team in the AFC West one. I might have to put the Chiefs in there. I don't know yet. I'll let you guys know when we do our last AFC preview podcast. So, anything else to say about the AFC South there, Cody?
No, I just think it's probably the most wide open division of the AFC. I think if one of these teams surprises even a little bit, I think it could give them the chance to be in. And like I said, we always talk every now and then of the possibility of having a 7-9 division winner. It's really, really unlikely, but I think this is also that division that could.
It's happened, but I don't see it happening with this year's. And if this is the only division it could happen with, I don't see it happening in this division either. So there you go. There you have it. You can see the other division podcast up on 104.5 The Team and youtube.com/team1045. So for Cody Marshall, I'm Eric Hammond. This has been the Sittin Sportside podcast preview of the AFC South. Thank you for listening.